Here's the thing. Birds are real, and it's mean to say that they're not.
It is mean to say that they're not, because they're real.
I know. I know we say that in our intro. I just want to reiterate it. It is mean to say that birds are not real. I know it's some kind of joke, but let's just get the record straight, you know?
Yeah. I've seen so many birds, and every single one has been real, except for like I probably saw an animatronic one at the Rainforest Cafe when I was like 8. Well, welcome back to our podcast.
Welcome back. I'm Keish,
I'm Sam.
and this is the Birds Are Real podcast. We're going to talk about some birds today.
We are multiple birds. None in particular, but definitely some birds.
Today, actually, yeah, none in particular, just birds in general. If you're new here, we're gonna get started with our field notes. Some different birds Sam and I saw throughout the week. Then we'll get into some user submitted questions, some hoot topics as we like to call them, and then we'll get into our main topic after that.
Finish it off with a fun little game. Wonder what's cooking
Hmm.
this week. We've been doing a variety this season. So keep you on your toes. You have to listen to the whole episode. You can't just skip to the end. I'm pretty sure that feature is disabled.
And if you do, we'll know. We have that data. So
We do.
just
It tells us
just saying.
exactly who skipped to the end. So it doesn't. Your privacy is safe. But let's get into our field notes. What birds have we seen in the past week? It definitely hasn't been like 3 weeks since we last recorded.
Nope. We keep a professional schedule here. You guys get these out every week, more or less.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going on in our lives. But it's been a couple of weeks, like Sam said. Unfortunately, I've only gone burning one time. It is a place I've already been to. It's called Stumpy Lake Natural Area.
Good old
Um,
Stumpy Lake.
the place with the bald cypresses, very pretty. I have concepts of a plan to go to Great Dismal Swamp and some other places, but I don't know. Haven't really. It's a little further out from me. I kind of want to make a day of it, and it's hard to find like a day of time. So I didn't want to go to Great Dismal Swamp for just like a couple hours and come back. So I went to Stumpy Lake. I've been perusing eBird, a lot of waterfowl coming in, as they do in the winter times. Saw some hooded mergansers. Always love to see those guys. Saw some green-winged teals. Saw a great blue heron. Um, on to the warbler side of things, I saw an orange-crowned warbler, and even in Philly, I think that's one of the warblers that tends to stay a little bit longer
Yeah, I've
into
never seen
the
one, but I
fall winter
remember that
season.
was one of the warblers that was hanging around when the painted bunting was there. People were seeing both of them, but I didn't see it.
Really? Oh, okay. I just assumed you would have had that on your life list by now.
Nope. I
Um,
have shockingly few warblers, I feel like. I have the yellow warbler, I have yellow rumped warblers, I have a couple here and there, but I'm fewer than you, I would guess.
yeah, I guess you're a shorebird merchant. Get your numbers up on those warblers, bud. We're being competitive here because of our main topic, as you'll
Yeah.
soon find out.
Yeah, you'll
But
see.
yeah, no new lifers for me. People have been seeing pileated woodpeckers here, and they're here year round apparently, so I'm sure I'll see one at some point, but I still haven't seen one.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, on the lifer front, it's been quiet for me too. I haven't had a new one in a while, but I did see some birds, went out birding a few times. My mom came into town, so we went to John Hines because we heard a rumor that the water was getting filled back up a little bit. Turns out it has been filled up a little bit, but for the most part, it's still empty. Basically, what happened is it rained a bunch, so the water level on the creek side, which is like the natural side, got super high. So they had to open up like basically the floodgates, so some of the water would go into the impoundment, so the creek didn't overflow. So that's why they opened the water up. It wasn't to fill up the impoundment.
Got
And there
it,
was
got
still
it.
like very little water there, but there was kind of a big long trail filled with Canada geese and some mallards. But what was actually quite fun was basically all the area that used to be pond is grassland now, which it turns out northern harriers love to go hunt around there.
Oh
So
wow.
if avid listeners may recall last season during the winter, we were seeing a lot of northern harriers in part of John Hines. We were at least trying to. But now
Perhaps
they're
the maybe this maybe it was the same Northern Harrier that we just saw and that was its territory there. But yeah, we were seeing a Northern Harrier. Could have been the same one, could have been a different one. Pretty much every
mhm.
time we went out.
But yeah, we were there. We were seeing multiple, or supposedly we saw one. Another group said they saw another. We couldn't see it, but there were northern harriers kind of swooping by. Really, a lot of fun. Really cool bird to look and see. We've seen it before, but always a treat. So we saw northern harrier, and I went to Hines a couple times. Saw it both times I went, and that was pretty much it. There were so many robins, a lot of robins at Hines, like only robins and then northern harriers. But the next day we decided I needed to show my mom like good Philly birding. And Hines, we got the northern harrier, but otherwise a little underwhelming. So I tried going to FDR Park again, which isn't somewhere I've been to
Mm.
bird in quite a while. And that was really successful. No lifers, but I finally saw a kingfisher. It's been a long time since I've seen a kingfisher, but there was one flying around at FDR. A lot of cormorants. There's always a million cormorants there. But lots of nice songbirds too. You could hear the chickadees. You could hear the like the titmice, the various sparrows, and there were buffleheads. So I did think they were hooded mergansers for a hot second, but then was able to confirm they were buffleheads. They stay pretty far away, shy little guys,
Mm.
tiny little guys, but really nice to see. A really like enjoyable walk around FDR. I think I'm gonna go to FDR a little more.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think the last time I went was with you, Rochelle, and one of our other friends. And yeah, it was pretty cool. We saw a yellow-bellied sapsucker, which is kind of rare. Um, yeah, no, I think FDR Park underrated birding spot.
Definitely. I did then actually go back to Heinz again last weekend because the government shutdown is complete. It's over, so I was able to go pick up our pictures. So I have your
Ah,
um, barn swallow picture, and I will provide that to you at some point in time. But nice to have those. And we went all the way around the impoundment, which I haven't done in a while. Normally I go kind of out and back. Went all the way
hmm.
around, and we stumbled upon a flock of cedar waxwings. Now, do you know? Here's a fun fact. Do you know what a group of cedar waxwings is called? Like a group of crows is a murder. You know, do you know what a group of turkeys is a gaggle, I believe? Do you know what a group of cedar waxwings is called?
Feel like you've told me, but I've forgotten. Maybe how about a frolic of cedar waxwings?
Frolic is good. I was thinking forest might be good because like cedar, trees, a bunch of them. It's just flock. That was a fake fun fact. It's just a flock of cedar waxwings.
Frolic's kind of close to flock, just
It
word
is.
wise.
It's very good. Um,
Um,
Hey everyone, Sam from the future here. I was wrong. That's not true. I made that up apparently. A flock of cedar waxwings does have a special name. They're called an earful, or in some cases a museum. So sorry about that. But yeah, it was nice.
got me on that one.
Yep, saw lots of those. Yeah, Merlin was hearing a winter wren. I only saw a Carolina wren, so I didn't count it. But we did actually come across a very nice, I think it was a downy woodpecker that was just like kind of chilling, and it was like moving its head back and forth in like a really fun way. So we just like looked at that for a while. No lifers, but it had a real nice time looking at birds, and isn't that just what it's all about?
That is what it's all about. I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit more in our main topic.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I'll just add on because you mentioned the belted kingfisher. I heard a belted kingfisher, but I couldn't see one.
nice.
The area on Stumpy Lake is kind of weird, where there's a lot of like bends in the water. So yeah, I definitely heard it, but couldn't see it. I'm sure it was just around the corner there though. It was pretty loud.
Nice.
Um, yeah, that's all I got for field notes.
Great. Yeah, I'm hopefully in the next week or two, I'm going to be in Connecticut for Thanksgiving. Um, and my parents saw snow buntings and pipits, so I'm really hoping, crossing my fingers, I can go see some snow buntings and pipits while I'm there. But it will be nice to, you know, revisit some places I haven't been in a while. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we have a couple of hoot topics for you guys today. Uh I was gonna start begging for more hoot topics, but let's get through them first and then we'll ask for more.
Yep.
Um so this first one here today is from Oscar. So he writes, if I happen to be a person who believed birds are in fact not real, where on earth would be the best place for me to go in order to limit any cognitive dissonance resulting from seeing any birds? I.e., where on earth are there very few bird species slash sightings? I think that's a pretty good question.
It's a good question. I'm glad it's hypothetical if I happened to be a person who, because as we've discussed, saying that birds are not real is mean. So
Hmm.
this is not mean though. This is a hypothetical. So it is an interesting question. Do you have a thought?
Yeah. So, I thought about it before looking it up. So, my initial thought was somewhere that's very cold. Somewhere that's going to be difficult to find food, somewhere that's going to be difficult for mating. Um, and yeah, those were my main considerations. So, I was thinking the Antarctic. Um, and for the most part, I think I was right. Specifically like center Antarctic, like trying to get as far away from the ocean as possible because there are a lot of migrators to the Antarctic. A lot of sea-dwelling birds off the coast of the Antarctic. So if you really want to avoid seeing birds, my guess would be center Antarctic, away from the water.
Yeah. I mean, you might run into some penguins on the way, but if you just shut your eyes and get there, I think you can kind of run into a bird anywhere you go, right? There's a,
Yeah,
there's
I
there's a
agree.
chance of that because they're real and they fly and they're everywhere. But there's a surefire way of not seeing. There's two actually. The first one, go to Hawk Mountain. You're not going to see a single bird ever. So
It's so
Hawk
true.
Mountain, middle of Pennsylvania, great place to go if you don't want to see any birds. Second is just like come birding with me if I have my camera, you know. If I don't have my camera, we're going to see so many birds. They're going to be cool. If I have my camera though, nothing, except for
No shot,
robins.
yeah.
And if you're going to say one bird isn't real, robin's not a bad one to say. Um, but yeah, just stick with someone who seems really excited about birding and has their gear with them. You're not going to see a single thing.
You raised some very good points here. Um, Other things that just came to mind are, I mean, you could go like very deep into the ocean. Not any birds there, to my knowledge. You could be like those billionaires on that tank thing,
Yeah,
or
that
whatever
worked
that
out
was
well for
called.
them. Yeah.
That worked out super well for them. I think they were trying to avoid birds, which is what their downfall was. They were trying to go to a place
That's
without any
that's what
birds.
happens if you try to avoid birds. The only issue
Or
there
you,
is that some of those things on the way down, you see like a ray or like a skit. So those kind of look like birds.
those do kind of look like birds, and that's a good point because I was also going to say deep in some caves, right? But if Oscar's worried about getting some cognitive dissonance from any like bird or bird like sightings, he might see some bats, might trigger him. So yeah, I think deep in caves, also. I mean, cave swallows exist, but I would assume they're in the superficial level of the caves, like towards the cave entrance. That's just my
Yeah.
thinking.
You know what else?
Yeah.
My first job out of college, I was in an office building and I had like a cubicle smack in the middle of this huge office building, no windows anywhere around me, couldn't see a thing. That's a good place to go. You're not going to see any birds there.
Yeah, your office cubicle at
Yeah.
yeah, I won't dox you at this job we worked at like 7 years ago.
Yeah. Never know if I might
In New
need a
Jersey.
reference, you know?
It's so true. Yeah, well, that was a fun question, Oscar. Thanks for submitting it. If you want to be like Oscar and submit a question, you can email us at birdsarereal.pod@gmail.com.
It's a good thing to do. You can also direct message us on Instagram. That's something that people enjoy doing, and we will take questions that way too. If you happen to just run into us on the street, you can also ask us a question then.
It's very true. All right, we do have one more Who topic for you guys today. This is from Nick. He writes, so I know that Canada geese migrate in a V formation. Do other birds use the same formation? It's a
So,
good question.
I mean, we have a migration expert here. Go back to season one, episode two, right? Um, so I will obviously defer to you, but I do think the answer is some of them do.
That's perfect. I think,
Yeah,
and I think Nick will be satisfied with that answer. So I think we could just leave it at that.
great.
Some of them do. No, you are right though. Some of them do. Especially the larger migratory birds that migrate in flocks or larger groups. So think ibises, cranes, pelicans, right? So these birds that are larger, more impacted by wind resistance. Honestly, other ducks too. I'm sure use the V formation. Um, and that's the V formation's main purpose to reduce air resistance strain, and they switch out at whoever's at the apex over time. I was thinking maybe like other birds would do that too, like albatrosses. But albatrosses are solo migrators, so for the most part. So, you know, they don't really participate in a V formation because they're just out there alone.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me because if you think about an albatross and kind of the way they're built and how they live their lives, they're flying almost all of their life. They have
Hmm.
huge, really strong wings, and they're quite streamlined. So they're fine flying in the air. But if you look at a goose, that thing should not be able to fly. Those are huge, and like they'll let you know when they're taking off. They scream, they feel it in their joints. So. I think those larger birds, it makes sense that they do need to think about like wind resistance and how to do that. And then when you think about smaller birds, you might think of swallows that do these huge murmurations. It's not V formations, but they are kind of moving together. Same thing with starlings. Obviously, that's kind of the big starling thing. But what I really like to see, I don't think this counts as migration because I think it's just them flying from like place to place. But I really enjoy seeing like cedar waxwings or even a lot of blackbirds fly in a similar way. They'll kind of fly in a little mass, but you know, geese and like V formations are pretty well in sync. They kind of go together. They don't necessarily flap at the exact same time, but they're level. They're going together. But these little guys, they'll kind of flap like differently, so they're all kind of like jumping up and down, not in a rhythm, and I like to see that.
Yeah, definitely very cool. And teamwork's great. Like they use the V formation when migrating, but I think it also um shows how like impressive and cool these solo long migrators are. Like the Arctic tern is doing that all by itself from like the North Pole to Antarctica. That's crazy.
That is, yeah, I mean, I can't drive more than like 2 hours by myself. So,
Also a reference to our main topic. You're killing it. Yeah, so that's all we have for Hoot Topics. Thank you, Oscar and Nick. Um, And yeah, we're running low, so send us more in when you can.
Send us, yeah, anything, any
Not only Oscar
questions,
and Nick,
good.
anyone.
Yeah,
Any
anyone.
question
Yeah.
is good.
Thank you, Oscar and Nick, for
Uh,
sending them in because you've been sending some great ones. I do have a little piece of birding news. We've been doing that a little here and there. This is a quick little piece of
okay.
birding news, and it has to do with my Philadelphia Eagles, the football team. Go Birds. Um, it was announced pretty recently. They're part of this Birds Supporting Birds initiative, which is what they're calling it. Basically, it's a partnership with the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, uh, ultimate goal to help protect seabirds and their environments. And they're just essentially funding some extra like tagging efforts. So researchers will be out there tagging seabirds, seeing kind of what effect climate change has been having on the habitats and like what birds are showing up, especially during fall migration. So, you know, Philadelphia Eagles, big giant billionaire corporation, evil, but good in this way. Birds supporting birds. If you're gonna be big, rich, and evil, you might as well do something nice. So good job. Good job, Eagles. Go Birds. Philadelphia, greatest city on earth.
Go Birds. Yeah, like you said, we'll take what we can get, any funding, any support. And honestly, I saw what you were saying too. I guess they made some sort of announcement about it. Just like even bringing awareness that like an organization as big as the Philadelphia Eagles cares about like bird banding for seabirds is kind of cool, I think. So,
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
yeah,
So go Birds. And if you have
go
billions of
Birds.
dollars, consider birds and consider like people also. Don't hold on to that money.
Yeah, do some good.
Yeah.
All right, so for the main topic this week, I saw some commotion about a viral birding documentary going around. That's going to capture our attention, of course. So I thought Sam and I should watch it, and we should tell you guys about it. It's called Listers. It's on YouTube for free by Owen Weiser. No ads even.
Owen
Uh,
Reiser.
Owen Reiser, yeah. Is that wrong?
Uh, no, that's right. And his listers, all caps, colon, a
Listers,
glimpse
all
into
caps.
extreme bird watching.
It's got like a couple million views, only posted a couple of months ago. And a couple million views for a birding documentary, that's kind of huge.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's making the waves, and we just watched it, and we're gonna talk about it.
Yep. And it's on YouTube and it's for free, which is super cool. So very accessible to anyone who wants to watch it. But yeah, let's get into it.
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great.
I agree. Like definitely recommend to anyone. If you enjoy our stuff, you're gonna enjoy this way more. It's like really good.
Yeah, like I mean, it's hard for us to say how enjoyable it would be to like a non-birder, because we are birders, but non-birders were raving about it. And even if our podcast is the only like entry point you have into birding, like I still think you'll really like this because honestly, they talked about a lot of the same stuff that we've talked about over our 3 seasons.
Mhm.
They're just way funnier and cooler and have a higher production value than us. So
Yeah,
if
they
you like what
are.
we're doing, you're just gonna like their stuff a lot better.
Yeah, they're really funny, and they actually so kind of the whole conceit behind this thing is that they both decided there's these two brothers, and they decide let's get into birding in the most extreme way possible. Let's have a big year. We've kind of talked about big years,
Hmm.
but we can get into what that means. And so they approach it as people who have not really birded before. So it is actually a really nice introduction. They explain all the terms they're talking about and they kind of bring you with them. So you do feel like you're part of the process a little bit.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Owen Reiser, the guy who was behind the camera most of the time, not the guy with the wolf cut or a
Hmm.
mullet. I don't even know the difference.
Yeah.
Who's his brother Quentin? I feel like that guy definitely had some birding experience because he had the gear. His shots were amazing, which we'll get into. Um, but yeah, I mean, minimal birding knowledge at least for Quentin to start.
Hmm.
And yeah, they just started, instead of incrementally getting into birding, going to their park, taking a guided guided bird tour. They just decided to get in their Kia Sedona or whatever it was and try to get as many species as they could in a calendar year. And they just lived out of their van.
They did, yeah. They both just lived out of their van. It was like, I think one of the things that was actually very engaging, and I think why it's been so successful is the kind of subplot behind it is they're doing it like as cheaply as possible. Because one of the big
Hmm.
things about a big year, if you don't know, is like starting January 1st, ending December 31st. You try to see as many birds as possible. Specifically, there's like a like eBird competition basically in like the lower 48 states of the United States. Um, and it's like a big thing. People get really into it. I think the record was something like 750 whatever, which is
Something like that. Yeah.
so many birds. Um, but it requires, if you're really gonna do it, you have to like take basically all your time off work. You got to be traveling across the country at like a moment's notice. You have to have a lot of money in order to do that for the most part. But these guys do it with like a shoestring budget, and it's really cool.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, you know, you definitely have to have some resources, right? Like they were living out of a car, you know, their car had repair issues or whatever. You know, they were sleeping in their car in like Cracker Barrel parking lots or like in the woods. And at some point in the documentary, they brought out some stats. Some birder who like, you know, was really into getting onto, you know, being on like the top of the leaderboard for seeing the most amount of birds in the continental US. I think he spent like to today's equivalent of like 300 grand on his big year, which is like wild and like not feasible for any real person.
Yeah.
So yeah, them showing that side I think was really cool. They also interviewed that Australian dude on the bike who had also seen like 500 species that year or something. And
Hmm.
he was just a dude on a bike who was like, "Yeah, I just slept in that bush last night." So,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know, it was just cool. So the low budget thing was cool, and I while we're on that topic, just the the different people they met throughout their adventures. From like the super competitive birding side of things to like, you know, the local birder or the non-birder. I thought that was really cool to see. Um, and all the different perspectives everyone had.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the like there were a kind of like a conflict built up throughout the episode. I would recommend, by the way, just like watching it. If you are going to watch it, go ahead and watch it before we like totally dive into it. But and then come back and obviously listen to this because you're gonna want to do that. But there's kind of this sort of conflict built up between what is birding for? Is it for this like competitive side of things where people are trying to get as many, not even lifers, the listers is why they call it that because it's, you know, they reset their list at the beginning of a calendar year essentially, right? And it's just like see these birds at all costs, or is birding for like enjoying birds, you know? Like are you supposed to be looking at birds? And I think one of the lines that kind of stuck out to me, I'm not going to say it word for word because I didn't write it down, but it was something like, you know, a lot of people think of birding as like you need to leave where you are, go somewhere else to find some birds, and that leaves a lot of people feeling like left out or like it's like too much of a thing to go and do. But like birding happens where you are, you know? Pretty much like that's the thing about birds we got into it in our hoot topic is it's really hard to escape them. So there are people who are birding, you know, less than a mile from downtown, what was it, Tucson or Phoenix, Arizona, and they were seeing a bunch of stuff. Obviously, we've talked about in Philadelphia, in the city, there's lots of places you can go, and basically anywhere you are, like birding is there.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really great point in the documentary as well. Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna get the quote right, but it was like when you think of I'm gonna go out into nature, I'm gonna go out see some wildlife, you think of travel, you think of going somewhere where you're not. And you know, just dispelling that notion a little bit is I think worthwhile because like you said, you know, there's nature all around us. You don't need to travel miles and miles and miles, to go see birds. There's birds all around you. Like, I mean, I even had the same thought when I was coming to Virginia Beach. I was like, oh, are there any cool spots and stuff? Like, oh, Virginia Beach, maybe there's not too many, but there's birds if you want to look for them. They're they're going to be everywhere. Even in Philly, you're like, oh, I'm in Philadelphia. I'm in a city, but John Hines is right there.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought it was really cool for them to leave that in and have that perspective there because they were driving in their car all across the US. That was what they were doing. Um, so I think it was just cool that they, left that in there as well,
I
or
agree.
put that in there.
Yeah. No, I think that was very cool. And here's the thing. I was a film studies major in college, and I don't get to do anything with that because it was not film production. I don't know how to make a film. I just know how to talk about it, sort of. And I kind of forgot most of it, but I took a documentary class. And I think what you bring up is very important and something that people don't think about a lot with documentaries. Documentaries are not objective. Like they didn't put every single thing they filmed in there, right? They filmed so much like for an entire year and then they had to cut it down into like the story that they wanted to tell. So I think leaving that stuff in really effective to tell that story. Obviously, like people are talking about it, we're talking about it, and that's a big part of why I think leaving in kind of those perspectives because there is kind of the spectacle of here's this couple that like spends probably hundreds of thousands of dollars when they do a big year, and they're like the best around, and then here's this like uh kid who I don't know, is he funded by like a super church or something? It kind of seemed like it to just like go around and see birds and like this huge spectacle of like these like birding celebrities. But then it really brings you back down to real life when they interview just like these normal people who are like, yeah, like we just bird around town, or like this guy who's sleeping in a bush. And a lot of it is like you get to see them like sleeping in their car and fighting off mosquitoes and you know calling the Cracker Barrel and seeing if they can stay over and it's a lot of fun. They're very funny.
They're hilarious. Yeah, it was a joy to watch.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to get back onto this point that we're touching on. Um, but I feel like we should talk about just like how competitive it gets because even as I mean, I feel like I'm in the birding scene. We have a birding podcast. I did not grasp how like wild people were with their big year and getting onto the top of this eBird leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean like there's this whole thing where people are like withholding information from other people. They're like, "Oh, you're one in like the top 50. I'm not going to tell you where I saw this
They're
bird."
like
It's like
gatekeeping it, yeah. And
it's
like
really funny.
they're so competitive with it. People are accusing other people of lying. They're yeah, I don't know. And wasn't there something about a guy who like maybe like 10 years ago falsified a photo of a violet green swallow or something, and then he like got bit by a cobra and almost died, and all the other birders were like, yeah, whatever, he deserved it. It's like, guys,
Yeah.
I promise it's not that serious.
Yeah,
Like
that was wild because like this guy was 16. He saw
yeah.
like what he thought was a violet green swallow, but he didn't have any pictures, so he just took a picture that he had taken like months ago somewhere else.
In
And
a
because
different
everyone was
location.
like, you have
Yeah.
to prove that you saw this thing. It was the first time anyone had seen one in North Carolina, South Carolina, I can't remember where.
Yeah.
And he's like a 16-year-old kid, so he's like, oh yeah, here's this thing. They like everyone got on it and like was examining the metadata to see like when it was taken, all this kind of stuff. And then like they essentially like blacklisted him from the birding community. Like he couldn't submit eBird checklists. And then yeah, he got bit by a cobra, almost died, and everyone was like, good riddance to this 16-year-old kid.
Yeah. Like imagine, you've seen a bird and it's the first time that bird has been sighted in that state. It's like a big thing, right? And all these people who are much, much older than you are like harping you like on like about questions and stuff like that. So, you make a mistake as a 16-year-old does, uploads a photo of the same bird but in a different location. that news comes to light and you're just like shunned from the community all of a sudden. Like, people make mistakes. And we always talk about the good interactions we have with birders, like in real life. Um, and for like 95% of the time, I think we do have great interactions with birders, minus that Calidris guy that we saw at Cape May. But for the most part, I think people are birding for just getting out in nature, trying to connect with nature compared to like, your daily like cubicle office job if you have that, and just j separating yourself from your like, your daily grind. On the other hand, you have these super competitive people, and that definitely seems to bring out some like unsavory qualities
Yeah.
in
No,
people. Yeah,
it's really interesting because like you can kind of say the same thing of basically anything, right? Is like
it's true.
if you
It's
get
true.
too competitive about something, then it becomes toxic, and it just like always kind of does. But and I think the reason why I think we appreciate this documentary maybe a little more than say The Big Year, which was that movie. I think did you watch it? I watched it.
I actually didn't end up watching it,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It was like just like a comedy movie. It actually had one joke in the entire movie, but a comedy movie from like the early 2000s about a big year where it only showed the side of like these people are insane. They're like birding so like hard they're ruining their lives to like do this big year. All their relationships have failed. But this I think this documentary shows like that's like some people, but most of them are just like chill people who are looking at birds.
Yeah. Yeah, they kept going back to this like psych study. Um uh and uh yeah, there was like one quote from the study that was saying like it was a study on like the psychology of extreme birders, and it was like 53% of extreme birders noted that there was a extreme strain on a close relationship due to birding. Like from where I'm sitting, that's kind of wild. But, these extreme birders who are especially these big ear people are trying to see the most amount of unique species in a calendar year. That's what it takes to be at the top, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's worth it to these people. Probably not worth it to most.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I just want to talk about little bit. Um, because that birding wonder kid you were mentioning, he's like less than 20, so has no job clearly because he spends every year trying to get the most birds in a calendar year. Um, there was this one part of the documentary where the main people of the documentary, they were in Florida trying to see a grass quit, was it?
Yeah, I think that was the name. Yeah, Grass Quit.
Something like that. And that kid was in Maine. Um, and I guess he got a alert that there was a grass quit in Florida, and he books the next flight from Maine to Florida to try to see this bird, right? Um, and there was that one girl that they kept going back to for, I mean, I'm sure it was one interview, but like kept showing parts of her interview. It's like the
Mhm.
girl in the maroon hat. I thought she had some great takes throughout the whole thing. She was like, I guess on the anti-competitiveness side, like, guys, like what are we actually doing here? Because it's one thing to chase a lifer, I think, bird you've never seen before, but these big ear birders, they're just chasing numbers. They're not trying to find this bird for the first time or like appreciate it or like see it in the wild. It's just like a tick mark kind of,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like flying from Maine to Florida to maybe see a grass squid is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they showed a picture of this bird too, and it's just like the most dull
The
bird
most
you've ever seen in
drab
your
bird.
life. Like, so it's
Yeah.
really funny. It is really just about kind of like taking off the box. And I mean, like, you can say that's speculative, but they literally asked this kid, they're like, if eBird did not exist, would you still be a birder? And the kid instantly was like, oh, no, of course not. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's,
there's not a moment of thought. He said immediately no.
yeah.
So, definitely not doing it for the love of birding or whatever. He's just treating it purely as competition, trying to.
Yeah.
get on the top of this eBird checklist or score list. But and people have their own reasons for doing things, but just the quickness with which he said I would not be birding if there wasn't like a competitive side to it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so I like when I'm out birding, sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, oh, I'm not putting any of this in eBird. I almost never use eBird. I've done like maybe four checklists in my life. And so I sometimes feel bad about it. But then I watched this movie and I was like, no, yeah, I don't need to use eBird. I'm okay. Like I'm not seeing anything anyone else isn't seeing too. Like it is good information. There's a lot of good
Yeah.
info you get from eBird. It helps with bird research, everything like that. But I think I personally don't really feel the need to use it when I bird.
Yeah, I'm glad it exists. And I'm glad that, I appreciate, the data that they get and like, for what it is, it's like, a collaborative public entry for this type of data collection, which like you can't get any other way, which I think is really cool. I think the only times I've made checklists are when I've gone to places that are not hotspots and have maybe one person making a checklist or none. I was thinking back some local places to where I am in Massachusetts. I made a couple of checklists there because no one else is doing it. So it's good data to have,
Yeah.
right?
hmm
But yeah.
No, super interesting stuff. I do want to maybe shift it slightly to like just like I don't know, just like these guys were really artistic, right? So they had a really interesting style of one of them had just like the worst camcorder you've ever seen, scratches all over it, dusty, like horrible video quality. Looks like it's from 1992. And then the other one has just like this beautiful, crisp camera. So it would always go from these shots of, this like really crappy camcorder being like, oh, look, like right up there, there's some sort of chickadee. And then it would cut to this like the most beautiful shot you've ever seen. So I thought that was really cool. I also liked how the main guy, every time they like saw a bird, he would draw it and then kind of like turn it into a PNG in a digital art software thing, not AI art, by the way, digital art, different. And I thought that was cool because I'm kind of doing the same thing this season. If you've been following our Instagram or watching us live on YouTube, I've been enjoying doing that. It is fun, and actually, that is something that people do recommend. Is like back before the days of like Merlin smartphones, super like crazy digital cameras. What people would do is they'd go out with a notepad and either like take really diligent notes about what they're seeing or like try to draw a bird. I've heard a lot of people saying that if you try to draw a bird in the field, you get so much better at birding. So maybe someday I'll try that, but I want to take pictures. So,
No, I agree with you. Going back to what you said about the different shot styles and quality, like the rustic like camcorder, you get this like homey vintage vibe, and then you just get like National Geographic shot. It's like beautiful. All I'm sure they got all their audio themselves. Yeah, I was so tripped up though because the guy with the mullet slash wolf cut, he had like a Nikon like I forget what they're called, but the model it's like a fixed lens. It's not like what we have where we have a DSLR where we can switch out the lenses, right?
mhm.
He had a fixed lens, and those fixed lenses can go like super, super far, zoomed in, but their quality isn't the greatest. So I was like, there's no way this man is hand holding this type of camera and getting these crisp, crisp shots and video, like super still video. Um, there was like literally like maybe 3 seconds of the film where I think Owen was being filmed and he had a tripod and like a mirrorless camera and stuff like that. So
Yep.
I was so confused throughout the whole thing until that part came. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But I kind of makes me want to get a tripod now because hand holding is so tough to
At
get
those
things like super
distances,
crisp and clean.
especially. Yeah.
Yeah, like any like wavering, like even just like your breathing is like shaking the camera a lot. Any wind, you're cooked. But no, these shots super crisp, super smooth, and yeah, just that contrast between like at one shot he's taking a video of his brother taking a leak, and the next shot is like this beautiful ptarmigan in like the snowy woods or like the snow-covered ground or something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or like there's like a whole flock of flamingos just like flying right over their
Oh,
head, and it's like
that was
the
such a
reflection.
good
Oh my
shot.
God,
Oh my
beautiful.
goodness.
So, okay, one interesting thing I wanted to get your opinion on was they kind of had this debate of should you be, oh, I forget the word, but like playing calls out loud. Should you be
Hmm.
doing that? And they kind of like, you know, ultimately where they end up is that they think doing the big year is like not quite it for them. It's not like satisfying in the way that just like normal birding is. But they still
Hmm.
like do like the work to like have an authentic big year experience, right? So they are actively trying to get as many birds on their list as possible. So they do end up using like playing bird calls from their phone, even their car radio, quite often. But there is kind of like, what was it like the Merlin website says don't do this, but this other website says like in some scenarios it's okay. And they pulled the birders, and some of them were like, no, I never do that, and some of them were like, yeah, no, I do that. But I still feel like I'm in the camp of like don't do that. But I don't know, what are you thinking?
Um, I mean, I think that's definitely the safest thing to do. Can you hear that? My thing just turned on.
No.
Okay, great. Um, yeah, I think that's the safest thing to do. If you're just unsure about, if it's ethical or not, better just be safer to not do it. But I think if you actively think about it and are, not just doing things willy-nilly and considering all the circumstances, I think it can be okay. Um, like for example, if there's a rare bird at John Hines, and people are trying to see it, and we know John Hines can be heavily trafficked. We know there's going to be birders coming in and day out, maybe trying to see this bird. You may think, oh, I'm just playing this bird's call to try to get it to come out so I can see it. And once I see it, I won't play it anymore. I'll just see it for like a couple of seconds. I just want to get it on my life list and then I'll be on my way. But if you're doing that and 30 other birders are doing that after you, and the next day 30 other birders are doing that, and then that can definitely mess with the bird, mess with its breeding, mess with its territory, cause it to waste its energy. So I think if you need to be cognizant of things like that. These dudes were like out in the middle of nowhere, like Washington, like naturally making owl sounds. Like
Yeah.
honestly, all the more power to you. Like
No, I did really like when like they were naturally making it was really cool. What was it? The like the pygmy owl or something where
northern pygmy owl, yeah.
yeah, like they read the description of what the song should sound like, which was like they described it as like two pebbles being struck together. So they just went out there with
That was
pebbles and
the
they were like,
that was the rail. That was the rail.
oh,
That
that
was the
was
yellow
yeah, of
rail.
course that was the rail. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so they go out there and they're just like for a while smacking these pebbles together, but then you actually hear the bird make like the same sound, and that is pretty cool.
There was one where they brought out the recorder.
Yeah, the
It's
recorder.
like
It's like the
and
musical
and
instrument recorder, not like a, like an electronic recorder, but like a flute.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, good clarification there. And for the yellow rail, they just pulled up on the side of this road, like not like a park or not like any like heavily trafficked area. And they heard the rail and they moved on.
Hmm.
So I think in certain situations it can be fine, but I definitely avoid doing it at like John Hines, for example.
Yeah, I think those are really good points. And also like at John Hines, it is right next to a really busy highway. So like you don't really want to like spook the bird and risk it, flying onto the highway or just like somewhere more dangerous. But I think those are
Hmm.
good points. It's fun to try and mimic. I'll sometimes like whistle and try to mimic a bird whistle, and I'm not very good at it, but I thought it was
Fishing's
an
fine
interesting
though. We
point they
can
brought
we,
up.
we can we can fish all we want.
Yeah, fishing is all good.
Psh, 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 psh. I'm
There
definitely
are
not
some
getting
good
bit,
examples
but
of it. I think next time I try to
yeah.
fish, I'll do a lot better than I have in the past.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, here's actually I
Um,
learned something about fishing. This is kind of a fun fact. Maybe you already knew this, but
yep.
it's based on chickadees specifically, because chickadees kind of
Oh.
speak a universal bird language where birds understand this specific chickadee call to mean like be alert,
Hmm.
potential danger nearby. But yeah, it's like specifically chickadees. Like birds use chickadees as sentries essentially.
I knew pitching was like kind of like a, oh, you know, look both ways, be alert kind of call. I didn't know it was about chickadees, so it's kind of
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, no, chickadees play a really interesting role in like bird um society, if that makes any sense.
Speaking of chickadees, I'm realizing now that every time I see a black-capped chickadee out here, it's not a black-capped chickadee, it's actually a Carolina chickadee, which makes sense given where I'm at. But they look very similar.
Yeah, they look almost like exactly the same.
Yeah. Another thing about this documentary that I thought was really cool was um, they kind of made it for non-birders to some extent. They talked about the lingo, they talked about like pitching calls, ethics behind that, like we were talking about. They also talked about some history. And some of the history I didn't know was that like back before eBird and like mass technology was a thing, rare bird alerts used to be hotlines, like phone hotlines.
Yeah,
Like you could just call a phone hotline, there'd be a recorded message being like, Bill Donahue saw an American wood duck, you know, at this park, yada yada yada. If you have anything else to report, leave a message and we'll add it to this message. I don't know. I think that's kind of sick.
that is
Um,
no, I forgot about
and
that. Yeah, that was super cool.
yeah, and then I guess they also found out that the Amish were huge into birding as well.
Hmm. And
Thought
that's
that was
that's
kind of cool.
why, yeah, that's how they found it. Well, I won't get into it. You can watch it in the movie, but yeah, it
True,
that's a
true.
really cool section. Yeah, just like a lot of really interesting stuff. So my question for you is like, would you ever, we've actually had this as a hoot topic before, but now that we have a little more context, would you ever try for a big year?
Um, Especially, yeah, no, I don't think I would. I think that was my answer before seeing this documentary, and I think that remains my answer. Um, I just don't think doing a big year would give me the satisfaction that I would want, you know?
Hmm.
Like I don't do birding to see as many birds as possible. I do birding to get out there instead of sleeping in on a Saturday morning. I'm out in nature, breathing some fresh air and not, bed rotting. Also, like in our daily lives, we're just so like out of tune with nature. We're like just so focused on ourselves and what we have to do for work, school, whatever. Like it's just a good reset. It's humbling in some sense. You're just like, oh, there's a bird feeding, there's a bird doing its thing. It's just grounding, I think. And also just the photography part of it, I think that's huge for me as well. Getting better at photography, framing, editing, just being patient for shots, getting these shots, framing them. Um, I think that's the main thing for me. It's not really about the numbers. And so doing something like a year is a long time.
Years a
Um,
really long
and
time.
even they were saying like they were getting so burnt out by the end. They just didn't have the mustard, as they called it, to chase these last few birds. Just they were just like, there's a bunch of cactuses in our way. Maybe earlier we would have figured out a way to navigate around them, but we're just like, right, right now because the lu- that just the numbers at some point I think lose their luster if
Hmm.
you don't appreciate what you're seeing along the way.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah, what
agree.
about you?
I would never do a big year. I just like I wouldn't have the mustard. I don't know. I couldn't do that. But same reasons you said. Like I think that would sap a lot of the enjoyment. I might try like a big week sometime. Maybe I'll take a week off from work and go up and down the coast or something. But that's probably the extent of what I would do.
Hey, that I think that's not a bad idea. That's sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. Because I was also thinking, when watching them, like I'm going birding maybe once a week, right? And over time you get used to it, and it's not like something new per se every time, and you kind of know what you're trying to look for. You kind of know the motions that you typically go through, and it kind of becomes routine at some point. But it's tough to do that when you're doing it once a week. But these guys are doing it every single day. They're like, I wake up and I bird, right? Um, so a year's a long time, but I think doing that for a shorter period of time, like you said, a week, I think you can kind of get a groove going, and learn a lot more things over a short span of a week straight than you might learn like in like 6 months of birding once a week. That's just, I
Hmm.
mean, like I haven't done that. So, but I just feel like that's something that could happen.
No, I agree. I mean, I think like even if if I just stayed in Philly and birded for like a week straight, if I birded every single day, I feel like I would have like a
Yeah.
vastly different experience than I do just birding, like once or twice a week. Um,
Hmm.
so something to keep in mind. Maybe a follow-up short documentary of our big week, Stay tuned.
Hey, Sam does all of the heavy lifting on the editing on this podcast and stuff. And like when they were doing like the bird doodles or bird PNGs and stuff, I thought about you. I was like, hey, my boy Sam can probably do that if he wanted to, if he put his mind to it. Um,
I could do some of that stuff. They
but
they have some really nice like editing techniques and stuff though, that I don't have that in my bag, but really cool
Dude, they
stuff.
were doing like some like claymation like
Yeah, they did it
transitions,
like
dude. It
yeah,
was you guys should watch this thing. This
you
thing
really
was
should.
beautifully made, and it was just these two dudes, not like some huge studio. Very obvious product placement by Maven Optics, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, like super obvious. But good for them. Uh, and I don't know. It was just so professionally done, but also like very like humble and homey at the same time.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was just really
Yeah.
good.
I will say for those of you of a softer constitution, it's a bit raunchy, so just be ready for that. Maybe don't watch it with your, 5-year-old children nearby if you happen to have those, but otherwise it's a really fun
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I mean, it's two young dudes. There's some low grade humor there, which is right up my alley, so it's fine
Yeah.
for me. But
Hmm.
just in case.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it was also cool to see that they were just being themselves around these birders. And not to say I'm not myself when I meet birders, but every time I meet a birder, 99% of the time I meet a birder, they're an elderly person who I feel like I need to respect. Well, I mean, I should, but I just feel like I'm polite, overly
Hmm.
polite, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm at work sometimes when I'm talking to birders, but I like that these guys were just like their goofy selves, while doing their whole thing.
I agree. Yeah, I thought it was really charming and kind of I don't know what's the word where you feel inspired. It was inspiring. That's it.
It was inspiring, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
We've said what we wanted to say, and hopefully let us know how you feel about this kind of thing. This is different. We're not giving like a presentation on birds. We're more responding to bird-related media. I had a lot of fun doing it. So
Me
let
too.
us know if you enjoy this.
Yeah. Also, let us know if you end up watching this, and let us know your thoughts either
Hmm.
via email or through our Instagram.
Yep.
All right. It's time for our little game that we do at the end. Sam played 20 questions with me last time. I was asking the questions. Ended up getting to Atlantic Puffin, was it?
Yep. On question
Right,
20.
right in the nick of time with a good hint. He gave me a hint towards the end.
Well, and
But yeah,
maybe a bad answer from me, so it evened out.
oh yeah, I would say those are three colors on them personally. But yeah, so we're gonna do the same thing in reverse this time. I have selected a bird from my Sibley field guide, and Sam's gonna have 20 questions to come up with the answer.
All right. Are you going to keep track of the number of questions I've asked?
If you, yeah, sure, I guess.
Okay. Because I can if you don't want me to.
No, 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 I got it.
Okay. I guess first question, is this a bird that I have seen?
Yes, you have seen it.
Is this a bird that you have seen?
This is a bird that I have seen, yes.
Is this a bird that we saw in Pennsylvania?
I've seen it in Pennsylvania. You've seen it in Pennsylvania. I don't necessarily know if we saw it together, but we've both seen it in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Is this a bird that is here year round? Here meaning Philadelphia area.
It's a good question. I'm looking in my field guide here. Let's look at the map, the legend here, see what it means. Do. Live searching real quick. Why can't I find what this map means? The legend on this map. Do you have the same field guide? Do you know what orange means on the I remember reading this. Oh, it's way in the beginning. Summer.
Summer. Okay. Not here year round. Okay. Is this a songbird?
Yes. This is a songbird.
Okay. Is this a yellow songbird?
This is a yellow songbird.
Ooh, okay. So we're probably thinking some sort of warbler here. Maybe like a vireo, maybe a goldfinch. Um, okay. Is this a warbler?
This is a warbler.
Okay. Interesting. So I assume it's not a yellow warbler. It could be. Let's see.
You've asked me 6 questions so far, and you've gotten pretty close.
Really, it's only been six? I'm so good at this game. Wow. But there are
I,
so
I
many
I got a
warblers.
little overwhelmed because I was looking in the field guide and keeping track. I think it's six.
Okay. Well, I'll have the number on screen, so you can
Okay.
call me out if I end up cheating, commenters, but hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Is this, or let's see, does this bird have two or more primary colors? Nope, sorry. Does this
Two.
bird have two or fewer primary colors?
I mean, I know what it looks like. I just want to be accurate here. Um, the male and female are different.
Ah, okay. Is is the
I'm gonna
male
count that as a
yellow?
question, even though I
Yeah.
didn't. The male, the male's yellow.
Oh, okay.
Was that
I
your
was
question?
thinking, yeah.
I no,
Well, I was,
that's not a question. They're both yellow.
well, that was my question because I was thinking it might be the American Redstart. Um,
Ah, okay.
okay.
I guess you're at 7 or 8.
Let's see. Okay, so if we're thinking about warblers that we've seen them in Pennsylvania, maybe not together. So I'm eliminating yellow warbler. I'm eliminating um, yellow rumped warbler because we see a million of those, and also not in the summer. Um, Options, it could be, I mean, it could be a blue-winged warbler. It could be a, nope, I didn't see a blue-winged warbler in Pennsylvania. Um, it could be a common yellow throat. It could be a palm warbler. It could be a pine warbler is a real warbler, right? Did I just make that up?
Pine
Okay.
warblers are real. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. How is this warbler named after a tree?
No.
Okay. So no pine, no palm. What was the answer to the, was it less than or two or less, two or fewer primary
Well,
colors or
I
oh,
just
because it
didn't
was
answer it.
different. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Does the male have two or fewer, or does the male have more than two primary colors?
I would say the male has more than two, yes.
Okay. Um, let's see. What other warbler? So probably not a blue-throated black warbler or a black-throated blue warbler, whichever it is. Or the black-throated green warbler. Not an orange-crowned warbler because I have not seen that. Um, does it have? Does the male have wing bars on it?
No wing bars.
Okay, so not a blue-winged warbler.
All right, I think
Um,
that's 10 questions. It could be plus or minus two. Honestly, I have no
okay.
clue. How did you keep track? It's so difficult.
I just typed a number each time you asked a question.
That's ex also what I'm doing. I'm just
Okay,
keeping track of it. Okay.
cool.
I
Let's
think you're at
see.
10.
Does this bird have a black mask?
I think I think you could classify it as a black mask. Sure.
Does it have warbler in its name?
It does not.
Is this a common yellowthroat?
This is a common yellow throat. I thought that
Ooh.
was going to trip you up a bit because it's a warbler, but it doesn't have a warbler in its name.
Yeah.
Um, Good job. That's impressive.
Yeah, not too bad, huh? I mean, so anywhere from, 12 to 18 questions, who could say? Kind of rapid
No,
fired them a
you
little bit,
definitely
but
were like towards the lower, like halfway probably. Um, yeah, honestly, I could have seen myself just getting down the warbler name path. But you even considered red starts and stuff, so good job, good job.
well, I mean, I think it helped that I just watched that birding documentary like before we recorded, and they saw some red
Same.
starts, and I was like, oh yeah, red starts, those are cool warblers. So
Yeah.
I was kind of on that train already. But
I
good
thought you were
choice,
gonna
I
ask
think.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna ask that question as well if it was featured in the documentary and common yellow throats were
Oh, see, it's a good thing I didn't ask that because I don't remember them being featured in it. So
brief, but yeah.
very cool. That's a good one.
Cool.
I mean, this is a fun game. I've gotten feedback already that people are liking the 20 questions. So we could keep
Good.
this. We could go with something else next time. Let us know. Comment, email, text us, Instagram DM us, and let us know what kind of games you like to see. We have a couple others we can pull out and take for a test ride, but I'm liking this one so far.
hmm And just a little sneak peek. I think we're gonna have at least one episode in the future with a guest or two on. So look forward to that if you like hearing people other than us talk.
Yeah, very exciting. It'll probably be in a couple episodes from now at least,
Yeah, it'll
but
be a little
yeah.
bit.
Um yeah, exciting season. It's shaping up to be quite exciting. It's already been exciting. So, um as ever, thank you for listening to our podcast. I hope you had a nice time. Hope you check out this documentary, but more than that, we hope that you check out the rest of our stuff. So, if you found this video on YouTube, you can keep watching our stuff on YouTube, or we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on any of those other things that pick up RSS feeds.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, let us know if you do end up watching Listers by Owen Weiser on YouTube. Great documentary. Send us in your hoot topics. Send us in messages that you appreciate everything we do for the birding community and, people in general, humanity. Yeah, just interact with us, please.
Yeah. Our Instagram is at Birds Are Real Pod. We're kind of popping off there. We're not, but you can still follow us. We post somewhat frequently, and it's kind of interesting stuff. We both have
hmm
individual Instagram accounts, which are linked in that Birds Are Real Pod Instagram account, and that's where we do our photography. That is pretty cool to follow, I'll say.
hmm
And
Yeah, some good work
emails
there.
birdsarereal.pod@gmail.com.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening. And as they say in uh, got nothing for you. But that was gonna be a banger if I thought of something good.
That would have been real cool, but
Yeah.
we'll just end it on that, I guess.
So long.
So long.